Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. My name is Jane Applegath, a former award-winning stockbroker, television producer, scriptwriter, yoga instructor, serial entrepreneur, and now founder of the Epic Vision Zone. I'm here to help you fulfill your big dream by showing you how a powerful vision is the portal to messaging, money, and meaning. Because what you say and why you say it is the key to achieving epic success on your own terms. That's why here at the Epic Vision Zone, we bring you some of the world's most influential people to inspire you to hit the go button on your epic life. A big thank you to everyone for being here today. Michael Gerber said, "Great businesses are not built by extraordinary people, but by ordinary people doing extraordinary things." And such is the case with our guest today. After a life filled with setbacks and obstacles, our guest, Susie Carder, is an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things. After a self-made millionaire, you'd never guess behind Susie Carder's multi-million-dollar success, best-selling author title, and fire engine red lipstick that she grew up with quite a different set of numbers: 9 siblings, 3-bedroom home, a poverty-level neighborhood. Starting out as a low-paid hairdresser working to support her 2 little girls, Susie quickly decided she wasn't going to live her life working for anyone but herself. Over the years, she has founded and sold 3 profitable companies, the last of which she sold for 8 figures. Her core genius is the ability to simplify complicated issues by creating simple systems that will ignite growth and sustainability for any company. She has helped over 100,000 entrepreneurs increase their revenue by more than 3,000% and worked with top business moguls, including John Ashroff, Lisa Nichols, Steve Harvey, Doug Carter, and Paul Mitchell. When a serious car accident took her away from her business, Susie's business not only stayed afloat, but expanded tenfold. The systems she had created empowered her staff to successfully carry on without her. So while she healed, the business thrived, and that is the freedom she is passionate to bring to business owners everywhere. Welcome, Susie. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited and I appreciate everything you're doing for women all across the globe.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure, and I am so excited to delve into this. I'm a huge fan. So let's just get started with the passion. Give us some insight into what fires you up about coaching other entrepreneurs to succeed in business and life.
Well, I think it started with me not knowing what I didn't know, right? And trying to find people who could help me shorten my learning curve, right? Girl, my picker was off. I got married young because my dad said there was 9 of us. You said it. There was Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
And so he said, when you're 18, go get married, go get a job. I'm like, I could do both, right? I can go do that. But my picker was off. So I found myself young, married in an abusive relationship and went, I can't do this. I can't be in this. I can't teach my children, my daughters, that this is what love is, right? Well, that's what I learned, growing up and seeing, but I didn't want that for my children. And so I had to figure out this money thing. I got divorced, I had no alimony, no child support. Girl, I told you my picker was off and said, I've got to take care of my family. And that was the first foray into business. I didn't realize I owned a business. I was an independent contractor, but you're a business inside of a business. And I had to figure out quickly, how do I figure out this money thing? How do I provide for my family? And that was my search for education, right? That was my search for the solution, and not the kind of education that takes years, the kind of education that you read it that night, you implement it the next morning, right? Referral programs. I'm like, how do I get in front of 50 women fast? Right? Which is speaking. Now, I didn't know how to speak, Jane. I just knew I needed to have you be in front of 50 women so I could get 5 students, 5 clients, 5 people to come into my business so that I could pay the rent. And so my passion stemmed from my why, which is my children. And I know that sounds corny, but it really was, I wanted to give my daughters a different reality than what I grew up in. Like, if you weren't yelling at me or hitting me, you must not love me. And so
Mm.
immediately after my divorce, I went into therapy. I'm like, I have to shift the pattern that has been in our family for years.
Mhm.
And that was my passion, was my children and wanting to do something different. And then once I figured it out, I was like, why is nobody teaching us this? Right? I was in the beauty industry, and in any industry, 15% of our financial success is based on our vocation. So back then, as a hairdresser, was how I color cut it, permed it, right? The other 85% is the sales, the marketing, the operations, and finance. And most people focus on their 15%, which your 15% has to be amazing. Like, you have to, Jane, be an amazing interviewer. You have to be an amazing orator, right? That's your jam. That's your 15%. But if you're only good at that and not looking at where are we getting the exposure, where are we getting the reach, where are we getting the impact, you'd be, really good in your closet, right? Talking about
Right.
your message. So I started focusing on that 15% and then teaching other people to go, oh, let me show you how to do it. Came from a place of, let me just show my girlfriends. Let me just show you so you don't have to struggle, right? Especially in that industry, 90% of that industry was made up of women.
Women.
And most of the hierarchy was male dominated,
Mhm.
right? It was men in their 50s, 60s, and I'm a 20-some-year-old woman going, I just want to see me. I want to see a powerful woman talking about money. I want to see a powerful woman talking about business. Where are they? And I'm like, I heard a voice. I heard God say, that would be you. Me? I don't know that. I can't do that, right?
Yeah, that's yeah, I could see that. And having two girls as well, you said, you wanted to show them that
Right.
there is so much more. And so I
So
can
much.
certainly see where that lights your fire, is that, learning for yourself and then wanting to share that information with others to help them step up to the plate. I love it. It's exactly what we're doing here on the Epic Vision Zone. So, mastering your mindset. Now, this is really interesting because you just said a bunch of things that you shifted yourself. And you did say you went to therapy and all of that, but you say that you've always been willing to bet on you. I love that. That was in your book, and it hit me. I said, that is
Yeah.
something that every woman needs to learn. And tell us how you master your mindset to change your life, because that is something especially women have a big issue with.
Yeah, so, people, but definitely us as women, when I look at your net worth will only go as high as your self-worth. And when I look at that, my net worth will only go as high as my self-worth. In my book, Power Your Profits, chapter 1, I start with mindset, right? Where is your mindset? What are your beliefs around money? What's your beliefs around success? Most of our beliefs are inherited from somebody else. Our mothers, our grandparents, our community, right? Based on gender. And so we're walking around as adults imposturing somebody else's belief. And so I decided to create my own belief. And one of my beliefs is wealth is your birthright. Now, I didn't grow up with that, but I'm like, well, if Jane can do it, I can do it. If Sam can do it, I can do it. If Lisa can do it, I can do it. And so finding people that I could emulate, not imitate, emulate the characteristics. I had to train myself inside of that. That was a big discipline. I have a vision for every area of my life. I have a premise for every area of my life. I have a strategy for every area of my life to go, I wanted something different than being in that poverty stricken home, right? And my parents did the best that they could do based on the knowledge that they had and their education, right? I was able to accept them for who they were and who they aren't, right? And I was the captain of my own ship. And to go, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Now that sounds hokey and that sounds like a great coffee mug, right? My coffee mug says morning gorgeous, right? But the reality is, if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. And that's been my philosophy. And really, my parents did instill that to me. My dad said, Sue, you can have whatever you want, just go get a job and work hard. Now, the thing I've had to do, Jane, is not kill myself to make money, right? Because that work hard, that was an old belief that I had to release to go, can't I do this and have fun? Can't I do this
Mhm.
and it be joyful? Can I do this and it be ease and grace? Right? So it's really getting clear on what do you want in your life? And then what action do you need to take? Let go of blaming, let go of people aren't who they say they are. They did the best that they could. And so forgiving people, whether it's your parents or a significant other for whatever occurred, what I realized at the end of the day, I chose it, right? I chose my path. I chose relationships that didn't fill my need or serve me or, got back into abusive relationships. That was my choice to go, well, I got in it, I can get out of it. Right. And I instill that in women today is to say, you can be your own Shiro. You can be the
Mhm.
woman that you've dreamed of. You just have to put the cape on, right? No one's going to
Right.
save us. Like I literally remember. So one of the most traumatic events for my oldest daughter is we had a cat and the cat brought the snake in the room. Right. And I remember grabbing the little one on the couch that she was in the kitchen, right? Crying. I grabbed the little one, put her on the couch. We're all screaming at this
Oh,
snake in the living room. And I realized, Jane, I'm like, oh, no one's coming. I'm the adult here. I have to save my children because I'm screaming. And it was like the epiphany, like, you have to go get the snake that's on the floor. Like your children, like, nobody's hearing you. So I'm like,
yeah.
I have to be my own rescue. Right. And you have to be your own rescue. And
Yes.
as funny as that is, as hard as it was just as plain as day, like get off the couch and go get that snake and put it outside and comfort your children. And you're the adult. And when you look at your life in that situation to go, you be your own rescue. You be the one that's going to
Mm.
save the day. I'm the one that saves the day. I'm the one that gets me in it and gets me out of it.
Right. Yes. I love that analogy. Put on your cape because you're right. It's having the awareness too. Do you prefer Sue or Susie? I'm not sure.
Susie. My dad called me Sue. He was the only one that called me Sue. So
Okay.
Susie.
Susie, it's having that awareness too, that aha moment, which for you was the moment on the couch with your two children, which would have been hysterical in a comedy, quite frankly. You're all standing there on the couch screaming, somebody get the snake. And you're like, oh, that must be me. That's somebody.
Right.
But sometimes that awareness hits us in the face that something like that has to happen. And once we have that, though, once we realize that we are the leaders of our own life, it's
Right.
time to step up to the plate. And what I do love is that you need to bet on yourself because no one else is going to bet on you until you bet on yourself. It's so, so important. And it also empowers us, right? So thank you so much for that story. It really was fabulous. And I think that that's a lesson we could all learn. I frankly would have been doing the same thing. I would have been on the couch with you for sure. So building a company, what is one thing every business owner must do to build a company?
This is juicy. And everybody
Mm.
resists it. You don't want to do it. You're going to resist it. And even when I say it, you're going to go, oh, I don't need to do that. Right. Or I have it. It's up here in my head. Right. So
Right.
now I've built 10 businesses, right? Two $10 million companies, right? And multi-million-dollar companies. So I have something to say about this. And you have to put your plan together. You have to do a business plan. Now, Jane, there's two types of business plans. There's one we call a working business plan. That's just for you and your internal team, right? So it's different than if you're going to raise money. That's an investor plan. And so, depending on, are you going to raise money or are you going to build it and bootstrap it or get a loan, right? That's a working business plan. Now, people say, oh, I have it, but it's either in your head or there's pieces of it. If you take the time, and it doesn't take a lot of time, right? There's an intuitive that because most likely you've been in your industry for a while, whatever that industry is, and you're like, I can do that better than that schmuck. I'm going to open my own business. And then you
I hear
realize
you.
now you're the schmuck. Yeah. Then you realize, oh, I'm the schmuck now. Everybody's mad at me because I'm the boss. And so you have a lot of intuition, and you can sit down in a weekend and write a pretty comprehensive business plan based on your natural knowing, based on what you've been doing in that vocation for years. There's amazing software out there, right? There's several of them that you can use that just ask the question and you put the answer and then you spit out a business plan. And then you can start refining it. I wrote a $40 million business plan in a weekend because I knew the industry, I knew what I was doing, and then it just came down to playing with the numbers. Now, everybody hates math. I'm just going to say it. Most people. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, but I love this topic. I always say math is money, money is fun. Now, I used to hate it. I used to stick my head in the sand. I used to just go, if I make enough money, it'll all work out. No, that's not how it works. My first $1 million business, Jane, we were an award-winning salon and spa. We won highest retail, highest average service, highest productivity per square foot. We were the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world. And what they were basing the criteria on was our top line. Well, at the end of that year, we lost $70,000. And I'm like, hold on a second. How can we have all these accolades, win all these awards, do all this great stuff, and I'm losing money? How can I make that much money and not have any money left over at the end of the year? Well, that money, that $70,000 had to come from somewhere, and you know where it came from. It came from my paycheck or lack of, right? To keep the business supplemented. And so I realized that day, like, I have to figure this out. My accountant can't do it. My bookkeeper can't do it. I have to understand the intricacies because I followed formulas. I followed what the experts said, right? And how to do what I needed to do. But there's something called a base price that still people don't talk about it. What does your base price have to be like? No kidding. So you're profitable. We usually think as entrepreneurs that profit is what's left over. Profit is planned for. And if you don't plan for it, it's not going to be there. If you don't plan for your compensation, you won't be there. Only 2.5% of businesses hit the $500,000 mark. 2.5%. Only 1.7% hit the $1 million mark. But here's the scary part, just like mine, that 1.7% aren't paying themselves a proper paycheck. Well, why? Right? So if I go work for another company, I can make more money than if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm having a 7-figure business. And so it's all in formulas. In chapter 8, I give you the mathematical equations for pricing your service for profit, for putting your financial projections together so that math is money, money is fun. So that it's not this form, it's not this spreadsheet that makes no sense to you. I find as entrepreneurs, we can manage units, or we can manage dollars. If I said, Jane, just do $1 million, that would freak most people out unless you've done it before. But if I said, Jane, just sell 10 of these a month. Oh, I can sell 10 of these a month or 5 of these a month, whatever that is. Oh, that's so much easier than go, let's do $1 million, or 5 million, 10 million, whatever the number is, right? To go, oh, let's make it fun. Let's make it digestible for us as entrepreneurs so that we can embrace this conversation. It doesn't have to be hard. It has to be strategic.
Absolutely. And bite size. I love that you said that you break it down because that's right. If you hit someone with that huge number, those ginormous expectations, our natural inclination is to just go into a little shell. That's the fear because it's like, if I don't hit that, I'm going to disappoint myself. But when you take the bite size, then it makes it doable. It's like anything in life. It's like, when we learn to walk, you take one step at a time. We didn't just all of a sudden start walking. But as children, we don't have that mind, that we just keep trying and trying and trying. And yes, and I love that what you said is profit is planned for. What a great tagline. Perfect. I love it. So we'll delve into the book a little later because this is so important. So how can you get started in a business without a lot of money?
Now, my first couple businesses I bootstrapped, right? Bootstrapping is every dollar in, 50% goes to you, 50% goes to the business, or 70, 30, 90, 10, whatever that financial realm is, right? And so again, I want you to start with the business plan because it will show you how much money you're going to need. Now, bootstrapping doesn't mean you don't use any money. You might use your credit card, right? My first business I launched on card. I don't recommend it, but that's all the money I had access to. right? Then we borrowed money from our house. We had equity in our home. So I borrowed money from my home and paid myself back to put our marketing plan together. So I want, wherever you're at, I want you to listen to this and realize that there's money all around you. There's money all around you. Somebody will believe in you more than they'll believe in themselves, right? My community has raised up and helped me so many times because they see what I can do. Now you've got to talk to them. There has to be an incentive, but you can go borrow money from friends. You can go borrow money from a bank. You can go borrow money from yourself. You're going to have to use some money, right, to get your business up and running, to get business cards, to get a website, right? The bare minimum. There's some investment. Doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive. There's sites out there, Fiverr, Upwork, that you can get cost-effective help and not pay a ridiculous amount of money for those product and services. And so you want to do your due diligence to go, how can I get the best for the most cost-effective? And even people. Jane, I've gotten people for under market value because they're cause motivated and they wanted to make a difference. And so if I look at the number one reason why people are with companies, right, and I talk about it in the book, Power Your Profit, is they want to make a difference. Some people are money motivated, but when I look at our business, when I look at what you're doing, Jane, Epic Vision, right, empowering women, that's cause motivated. You're not going, I want to make $1 million on this show. That might be an effect of what happens from the show, but your cause is empowering women. So we want to look at, how do I empower my audience? How do I empower the people around me to take action? And so that could be putting together a financial forecast so that you can see, I only need to sell these 10 things and then I'm not taking money from my savings. I only need to sell these 5 things and then I'm not taking money from my savings. The savings is the reserve. I don't want you to live off of it. I want you to sell your way to success. That's what I did. I said, how do I get in front of 50 women? I didn't want to be a speaker, but I had to pay bills, right? So I went to a corporation and said, I will speak for you. I did not know how to speak, Jane. We let our limitation, we let our fear get in the way. I was horrible. I bet if I had a video, we would all be laughing right now. But you know what? I got 5 clients that day. And that got me hooked to go, if I could be in front of 50 women every day or every week, I'm a little, you can see I'm a little like every day. I want to do it every day. I'm a little
good. Now I'm addicted. Right.
Yeah.
But
so
it does.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, because it's taking that first step. But once you get results from that first step, moving beyond your comfort zone, everybody talks about it, but it's true. We don't grow unless we do that. But it's true, because once you get that feedback, once you get that results from doing something that you felt was horrible, but yet people sign up, you're like, wow, this is really, I can't believe this is really working. And that feeds the engine, right? That gets the momentum going. But like you said, we have to bet on ourselves. And a lot of times people are afraid to ask friends or bet on themselves with their house, for example, or put it on their credit cards, because they are not believing in their potential. And
or they don't have a plan.
Well,
right, like you said, they don't have a plan and they're just winging it. Now, I'm a winger. I can invent stuff. But it's much more successful when I put that plan in place, to know how much money you're going to go through, to know how much money that you'll need. And then it's motivation to go talk to 50 people, to go, I got to make, back then it was $5,000 a month. How am I going to make $5,000 a month? Every day it was a clean slate. How am I going to make my $1,000 today? Right. To really look at hitting those revenue goals. It's boiling it down to the simplest form that you can digest to produce that result. I think as entrepreneurs, we need to be result driven versus task driven. What's the result this business needs? Because the result will get you the finances. The result will get you that speaking event. Speaking is just marketing. I just want to say that speaking is just marketing. I did not set out to be a speaker. I set out to find my ideal qualified client, that person that I love and adore, that person that I want to serve and take care of. And then in return, they serve me. You can pick and choose your clients, y'all. You can pick and choose your clients, right? That's what I learned. And you can fire them. That's the best part. You can fire them.
I love it. I love it. I tell people that. I said, don't don't be involved with an energy vampire. It'll just suck the life out of you. And what for? I believe me, I was in a business where, money was everything, and the stock brokerage business. So we won't go down that road, but I get it completely. Well, I mentioned fear a little bit there. So what do you say to people who want to start a business but are afraid due to the economy? Now, that's a big one today.
That is a big one. But if you look at the most successful companies in our country, General Electric, Apple, if we look at Steve Jobs, they started in a recession or a depression, right? So you want to look at, there's opportunity because people are quitting. People are running to be safe. People aren't risking as much. So what does that do? That opens the market for us, the risk takers. It weeds out, what I always say, weeds out the weenies, the people that were playing at business, right, and not really delivering the result. And so you'll start to see the cream rise to the top. Again, the more strategic you can be when you launch it, then it just has you see your blind spots. So when the challenge comes up, it's like, oh, I planned for this. Oh, I saw that, right? So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there now. Now, I will share that Barbara DeAngelis, I did a lot of work with her. That's part of my therapy, right? She was a relationship coach. And one of her quotes that I love, and I probably say it to myself every day or to a student every day. And it's, fear leads you to believe that where you are right now is a safe place and going forward is a risk. But the truth is, you're always at risk when you're standing still, risk of stagnating, but more importantly, risk of missing out on your own destiny. And so when you're in that place of indecision, know that fear is a flag of the unknown, a flag that where you are is safe, but you already know that you're not safe. You already know there's uncomfortability. You already know you don't like what you're doing. And so you're thinking you're safe, but you're really just standing still. So I say the way that opportunity comes to you is you declare it, you start moving forward in it, and you start taking action in it. Trust me, I woke up the day that I was supposed to speak, throwing up, going to the bathroom, traumatized. And I literally called the woman. It was at an aerospace company. And I called her up. And the minute I heard her voice, I started bawling because I was so riddled with fear. And I said, I'm so sorry, but my aunt just died. I have to go to the funeral today. It was awful. She didn't really die. I was just so scared, right? And so she's like, oh my God, please take care of yourself. We can rebook this. I'm like, okay, let's rebook it for next week. She goes, we don't have to do that. I'm like, no. I'm thinking I'll be better by then. So we rebook it. Jane, the next week I woke up, stomach ache, going to the bathroom, throwing up, fear again. And I'm like, nobody can die. This would be ridiculous if somebody else, right?
Yeah.
I remember,
maybe you poor woman.
I remember driving around the building going, how do I get out of this? I have a flat tire. I can get in a car. I'm like, Susie, suck it up and go in there. Look, number one fear in life is public speaking. Number two is death by fire. So I'm driving that building, hoping the building catches on fire. I did not want to do it. And so I remember going into that thing, scared, nervous. I'm sure I was awful, like I said. And I did it. And I got 5 clients. And the only way through fear is to go through that fear.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is hold fear in one hand, courage in the other, and then just jump. And that's what I did that day. I got out of that car. I sucked it up. I put my big girl panties on. I put that facade on and faked it till I made it and got in there. And, my personality won through, whether my speaking. I told them I'm not a speaker. Let me be clear. I'm not a speaker. I'm here to contribute to you. Right. So you got to go through the fear. You can't avoid the fear because the more you go around it, the more it will suck the life out of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's for sure. It will destroy you. It definitely will. But all I have is you. I have visions of you circling the building and then getting in an accident.
Trying to cause it, right? You do a law of attraction. I'm like, come on, somebody hit me. I need a better excuse.
Oh, you're so funny, Ivan. That's a great story. I love it.
To self-sabotage, right? You just go,
yeah, but
crazy.
what struck me too, what you just said at the end is that when you got there, I think this is what you said. You said, I'm not a speaker. I'm here to share or
Contribute.
something,
Yeah.
to
To
contribute
contribute and make a difference.
by actually letting them know that, you know, you're not here to wow them with the speech. It kind of takes the burden off you. And I thought that was brilliant, even though at the time you probably didn't think it was brilliant. But that's a brilliant statement that you said, I'm not a speaker, I'm here to contribute. And they're thinking, okay, that makes sense. And I love that, by the way. That certainly would have put them in a frame of mind to really gravitate towards you, because
You know
that's a
what we
very
call that,
powerful
Jane?
statement. Hmm?
You know what we call that?
What?
We call that ignorance on fire.
Oh, no, I call it brilliance on fire. So leading
Look,
your
that was
business.
a God day. God was looking out for me that day, going, "You're going to do this. You're going to see that you can get in there." Right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
I
so
think
glad he
that
was.
is right. That is humanity. You don't know what you're capable of until you go through the fear. There's no overcoming, it's going through it to say, I want this on the other side. And I wanted it for my well being and my children's well being. It wasn't about money. It was like,
Yeah.
how do I provide? How do I provide a service to the women that are in my audience? And even today, how do I provide? Right. And
Right.
then how do I serve? And
Right.
so I think when we leave our she goes at the door, right? The she go is the woman version of ego.
Ego.
We leave our she go at the door to say, I'm here to do the work I was meant to do. I believe, Jane, that my gift from God is my life. My gift back to God is, what do I do with my life? Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't believe in God, if you're listening to this, that's okay. Whatever your higher power is, whatever that thing is that grounds you, what is that gift to humanity? Because we all have something unique. We
Right.
all have something to give. What is that? And if you're unhappy and
Exactly.
depressed, you're not doing that calling. You're not doing that thing you were put here to do. And people
Mm-hmm.
always say, Susie, how do I find it? You got to listen. You got to listen. You got to be still. You got to be quiet. And then I call it God. You call it whatever you want. He tells us. And then you say, that's cuckoo. I'm not doing that. That was cuckoo. I am not going to go speak in front of 50 women. That was cuckoo pants. Nothing in my upbringing, nothing in my being said, go be a speaker. But God said, here's how I'm going to get you to be in front of the women that can afford you, that will use you, that will see the value in you quicker, faster. And so if we listen and be still, magic happens.
Yes, absolutely. That's we could do a whole interview on that for sure. For I believe it. So that was a great story, and I love the fact that people will now see that everybody has those beginnings. I mean, that's the stories are so powerful because, you know, they see you now so successful, and they say, well, that's Susie. I mean, you know, yeah, of course, because she's so big, but look where you started. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. In your book, you tell the reader to ask themselves, what's the highest income producing activity only you can do? Tell us how asking that question empowers you.
Yes, this is my favorite question to ask myself. Because as entrepreneurs, we're the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right? We're doing it all, being it all. And in the beginning, you have to. And so when I look at the highest income producing activity for me, right, is meeting with clients. It's doing the work I do, strategic development for clients. It's building their financial plan, managing the minutia of my business, putting a funnel together, doing my social media. That's not the highest income producing activity for me. So the first person I always hire in building a company, even when I can't afford it, I want to say that, even when I can't afford it, right, is an operations person. An operations person is the person that does all the things. They write your contracts, they can hire the marketing people, they can put funnels together, they can look at your analyticals, they can balance the books, right? It's an overall position, it's the engine inside of your business. And so what happens is, and I still do this today, I find myself doing penny jobs for dollar time. Like, I don't need to be booking my airline. My assistant needs to. And I promise you, Jane, every time I book my airline flight, I do something wrong. So I just did this. I'm going to Vegas. It's a girlfriend's birthday. And I'm like, I'm going to save Sam the trouble and I'm going to book this. I can just handle it. Girl, I booked it on the wrong day. Like I booked it on a Thursday. I was supposed to leave on a Friday. And so then I had to keep appointments. And so that's not the highest income producing activity for me. I'm just going to do it and handle it that I do it wrong. And so when I look at what are you spending your time doing? For most entrepreneurs, it's sales, talking one-on-one to the customer, building those relations, building joint ventures, right? Those are the highest income producing activity. If I close one more sale, I can hire an operations person. I close one more sale, I can hire an assistant, right? Depending on your pricing. And so I want to look at, instead of you trying to do it all, how do I buy you more freedom? Buying you more freedom is going, what do we need to sell to cover this overhead? Now, when I hired my operations person, when I built this brand, I told her, we started out, it was $2,500 a month. I said, look, you got to pay for yourself. So with the marketing campaigns, with the things that we're doing, we need enough leads in, so I'll close them. But I need your help in generating that, managing that, and that so that I can execute that. And it's a perfect relationship. You've got to be more of an open book with your team. Quit trying to have all the answers. I've always hired really brilliant people who were smarter than me, people who could run circles around me in their job. I might run circles around in the consulting, in the speaking, in the strategic, but they're running circles around me in the operations and putting spreadsheets together and building funnels. I don't want to build a funnel. Poke a needle in my eye. Do not make me build a funnel. Could I? Sure. I could build a funnel if I had to, but I don't want to. Right? I'm not good at it. It'll take me 20 hours where it might take her 2 hours. And so that's what I'm saying. What's the highest income producing activity only you can do? And then outsource the rest. Now, that's that fear thing. That's that risk thing again. But if you have the numbers, if you know what those indicators are, then it'll pay for itself. And if it doesn't, then we just look at, well, what part of that structure are you missing? You didn't have enough calls. You didn't have enough leads coming into your business. Everything, Jane. Why I had to really understand business finances, because everything works out to be a mathematical formula. Now, I didn't like math. Ask Mr. Syverson. I got a D in algebra. And so I'm like, here's what I said to Mr. Syverson. Why are you putting the alphabet in a math equation? That makes no sense to me. This is not English. This is math.
I'm with you.
Right. And so when I realized, I started putting these rogue spreadsheets together, because your accountants give you spreadsheets, but they're based on the past. I don't need to know the past. I need to know, what do I need to sell today to hit my revenue today, tomorrow, the next day? Not what did I do? That's great information. But what do I need to do every single day to hit the revenue goals that I want to produce? And it doesn't matter if you're doing a 6-figure business, 7-figure business, 8-figure business, 9-figure business. It all boils down to that mathematical equation. So in the book, I give you the formulas, right? So you can go to my website. If you go to my website and purchase the book, then I'm going to give you a bunch of bonuses, right? You can get it on Amazon, you can get it anywhere, but I'm just looking at, how do I make this easier for us? I created these spreadsheets for me because I was done feeling like the ding dong in the room, going, this makes no sense to me. So my partner, I'm like, make me a spreadsheet, because he loved Excel. I didn't know how to use Excel back then. So we make this spreadsheet so I, as the entrepreneur, the creative, could figure out how to motivate my team. How could if I showed them how much money they could make if they sold $10 more. That $10 equated to $100,000 at the end of the year. And it was only $10. That's why I came up with math is money, money is fun. Let's make it fun. Let's make business is a game. So let's be the winner at the game. Everybody loves to win. It's when you put your head in the sand, when you don't look at it, that's when we lose or fail or not hit the revenue goal. And then we pick up the big stick, right? And we start hitting ourselves over the head like, I'm a loser, I suck, I'm no good, all that self-talk that you do, right? I want to let that go. Let's empower you and like drop it, right? This is a mic, right? Drop the mic. I'm going to drop the mic at Jane at the end, but she's doing awesome. Drop the mic.
Oh my God, this should be a comedy. I love it. That's everybody should have one of those at their desk. So when you're second guessing yourself or you have that fear, you just start banging your head with it. It might get a little painful, but depending on what you feel, but it would be a great reminder. You know how you put the elastic on your wrist to remind you whatever. Well, instead you just get the little hammer, rubber hammer, or whatever. the mic. Yeah, right.
Right. And then you can tell yourself, put the stick down. It's okay. You're in a learning
Yeah,
curve.
it's a learning.
Entrepreneurship is a constant learning curve,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Up, down, up, down.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. Just give yourself a good knock on the head and continue on your way. Because what I loved what you just said is that numbers don't lie. And you're right. I mean, I was in the brokerage business, so you think, oh, she must have been really good at numbers. And it's like, no, I told a really good story about the corporations that I felt were good for my investors, my clients.
Yes.
And at the time, stories weren't a big thing back then, back in the day. But I now know that's what I was doing. And in telling the stories, people would get very excited and invested in the company. And that's how I did most of my sales. It wasn't, I didn't read them the balance sheet and say, well, they've got great assets and the profit and loss ratio, and they would just like glaze over. It's like, well, that's nice, what does that mean? Then you tell
Right.
them the story. So you're right, and going back to your point, you're breaking it down for people. So that's so important. Like you said, you tell your team member, look, if you could do 10 of these every day, this is what it adds up to at the end of the year. Now that's like, oh, that's an aha, I can do that. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for that. And speaking of those,
Yeah.
what's your favorite productivity hack for entrepreneurs?
Ooh, so we use something. I've been using this system for, I think I'm getting old, girl, because everything's 20 years, but it works. And so it's something called mission control. And some people call it time management, but it's about everything you do and handle is in your calendar. So everything. Because what happens as entrepreneurs is you forget to eat, you forget to pee, right? You forget to exercise. At the end of the day, you're so busy being busy that at the end of the day, you're just tired and you need a glass of wine or martini or whatever you do, right? So in my calendar, I block time for everything. Everything is in my schedule, future based, right? So if I know, I'll give you an example. Every entrepreneur has to do some kind of social media, and videos are imperative to start building relationships with possible consumers. So in my calendar, I have blocked time for the rest of the year, my video production days. And so videos now are 3 to 5 minutes tops, but I spend the whole day planning for my videos. And then I spend another whole day preparing, writing the scripts or the bullets for those videos. I have in my calendar my lunch. My lunch is called rest and restore because I would be so busy in my day, I'd forget to eat. And then at the end of the day, I'm so hangry that I'm taking it out on my family. I have in my calendar when I leave. And so on the end of my day at 6 o'clock, it says completion. And so every opportunity is an opportunity to celebrate. My sales time, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to have strategic sales time. Nobody wants to do sales. I don't want to do sales. And so in my calendar, it says creating wealth. Because if I'm creating Jane wealth, then I get wealthy, right? If I'm having a coaching call, I'm creating strategy. So I'll have a strategic call with Carol, and that's her coaching call versus coaching call. Coaching call is a task. Everything in my calendar is results based, and the system is called mission control. And so you'll have occasions, and we want to create celebration as if it's done. So my sales time creating wealth, I'm sitting inside of if it's done. And so I talk about that hack in the book. And so I live and breathe by my calendar. Everything that there is to do is in there. One calendar. You don't have a personal calendar and a business calendar. And that's where breakdown occurs. Because you're like, oh, I forgot I had this meeting, because you're looking at a calendar on the wall at home, and then you're looking at a calendar in the computer. You're just being responsible. My vacations for the year are in my calendar, right? The time off that I want is in my calendar. I do that in December. I plan the whole next year. I don't know where I'm going when I'm going, but I talk to my significant other and say, hey, what time of year do we want to go on vacation? I live at a river right now, and so summer at home is amazing because I'm right on the river. But I plan time to get up and go get on the kayak. I end my day early so I can get out and go on the boat, right? So I know summertime, I want to play a little bit. You got to schedule play in your schedule. You've got to schedule, we all have heard it, date night. But if you just put date night, nobody wants that. Like, create fun and play with, my man's name is Dan, fun and play with Dan, right? To go, that seems more fun than date night. Date night seems like a chore, right? And some people schedule sex. Well, that sounds like a chore. I want it to be fun.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh my Lord, that would be too much.
Too much.
Yeah. 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 I love that the way you phrase it though in your calendar, your planner, calendar, whatever you want to call it. You said creating wealth. You said fun and play with Dan. You said rest and restore. What a difference. What a totally different perspective you see and you feel when you look at your calendar and you see these spots in your calendar. And like you said, it's not a task. And that is
Right.
so important for your mindset. Oh, that is brilliant, Susie. Absolutely brilliant. I think you need to make a calendar and sell it with those in it. I mean, that is, I've never heard anybody say it and put it that way, but you know what? It completely changes your perspective, your mindset, and how you feel about reading
Yes.
your day, your day ahead of you, because you're right. Everything is a task. Make the phone calls, prospect, lunch, exercise. It's like, oh my gosh, everything is a to-do list. This is like creating
Right.
wealth. And like you said, that it's the result of what you're going to be doing. So that is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what a great productivity hack. Absolutely. I'll buy the first calendar for sure.
Well, working
So,
out, nobody wants to work out. Everybody needs to work
no,
out. My workout says snatching my sexy back, right? So I'm snatching it. I'm not working out.
yeah,
I'm saying sexy.
see that a totally different perspective on that. It's like fabulous. I love it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because then everything is a chore, and your whole life is a chore. And
Right.
God knows we need to change our inner voice, our inner thinking, and our inner perspective, because then that changes everything, right? So, what
Yes.
is the most important personality trait or strength someone needs to work in the industry to be successful?
Ooh, that's a juicy one. Well, I use, and I talk about it in the book, right? Because again, in the green room, Jane and I were talking about, why you wrote the book. I wrote the book for what I needed as a young entrepreneur, like what are the things, the hacks, the systems that work. And so we aren't black or white. It's not one thing that makes an entrepreneur successful, right? One is I use something called the Harrison that shows you the DNA of how to manage somebody. And again, I've been using this assessment for over 20 years when I bring someone on into my team to see, how do I manage them? How do I support them? So I think knowledge, I would say, is one of the most underrated things. And I don't mean the kind of knowledge like it's just a book smart and I read the book. It's knowledge and implementation. Benjamin Franklin says, take the coins from your purse, invest them in your mind, and your mind will fill your purse overflowing. So the knowledge, we have to have implementation. What I love about being an entrepreneur is I can listen to this, right? I can listen to this broadcast and I could take one productivity hack and implement it tomorrow. I can take an online course, take one thing, implement it tomorrow. You don't have to implement all of it. One thing that's going to make the big difference in your business. In our book, Power Your Profit, every chapter has an assessment. Remember when we were, girls and we would take those Cosmo assessments? We all loved them, right? Am I this? Am I that? Are you? So every chapter has an assessment so you can see, where are my underdeveloped strengths? Notice I didn't say weaknesses, because every weakness you have or every strength that you have started out as an underdeveloped or a weakness, an underdeveloped strength. Right? We decided I was horrible as a speaker. I decided maybe I need to learn how to do this because it's working. So then I learned how to be a speaker. I learned the proper structure of building a talk, and the proper structure of engaging your audience, the proper structure of when to do an invitation to purchase. There is a system, right? Ignorance on fire can only go so far. And so when I look at, I would say that hunger of wanting to create something, but you have to have a passion for what you do. It can't all be about money. Because when it's all about money, you experience burnout, resentment, right? You only go so far financially, right? There's no aliveness in
Mhm.
what you're doing. And the degree of your aliveness is to the degree of your integrity. And if you're out of integrity with your life purpose, you're out of integrity with what you know you were put on this planet to do, you can only get so successful, right? And you might have financial success, but your relationship sucks. You might have financial success, but you don't have a relationship with your children. And so I think entrepreneurship allows us to have this well-roundedness that a corporation doesn't, right? Because there's so many rules where we get to make the rules. I still run my business very structured, but there's freedom inside of my business for myself and for my team.
Right. And that's good leadership, because
Yes.
yes, when you can lead them to grow. I love that saying that you just quoted. There's also one by Jim Quick, who said, "If knowledge is power, learning is our superpower."
Yes.
Because, and like you said, putting it to work. But you're absolutely correct, because the more knowledge we have, the more we have to draw from to help us move forward, to build our business, to connect with individuals. Yes, absolutely. I think that was so insightful. Thank you for that. What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out in business, in your type of business?
Mhm. So I'm fortunate enough to coach all across, right? I've coached doctors, attorneys, graphic designers, speakers, authors, hairdressers, salons and spas. And so I would say the piece of advice I would give is don't give up on you. Don't give up on you, right? You be the captain of your own ship. Know that, listen to that inner voice, and you are the best bet. You are the best bet. I've been in partnerships, Jane, that I should not have been in because I was scared to invest in me. I was scared to believe that I could do it, I could be it. And when I look at my life now, I had a couple of them. I'm a tough nut. It takes me a long time to get it right, of failed partnerships because their work ethic wasn't my work ethic, or we weren't in agreement. And it really was just stemmed around fear. The minute I decided that I can do this, I can make this happen, right, is the minute everything shifted for me, is the minute that I realized that if it is meant to be, it's up to me. And that I can create what it is that I want out of my life for myself and for my children. And so believe in yourself as much as you believe in others, right? If you look at the belief we have for our best friend, the belief we have for our partner, like that unabashed, unconditional love that we so freely give, but we don't give it to ourselves, right? Work on your self-worth, work on that, and the world becomes yours.
Yes, absolutely. You're 100% spot on, because the energy that you emit from that is what comes back to you tenfold, or not. Because
Yes.
if it all becomes about the money, there's you've lost authenticity, because the purpose isn't there, the heart isn't there. But when the heart plays a part in it, that I always love Rumi. He says, "Who you seek is seeking you."
Mm,
But that
yes.
frequency won't connect unless you're being authentic, which means whatever you're doing comes from your heart. So,
Right, and
yes,
energy goes where energy flows, right? Energy goes where
exactly.
energy flows. So if you're thinking you suck, you're right. If you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking you're brilliant, you're right.
Right,
Right? If you're
right.
thinking you can do it, you're right. If you're thinking you can't, you're right. And so I know it sounds all corny and hokey, but it really is very powerful. And
It is.
going, surround yourself with people that believe in you, because there'll be a point where you don't believe in yourself, where you forget who you are, you forget like that you're brilliant, talented, fabulous. So you have to have
Right.
those ride or die people that will go, Susie, come on now. You remember. Here's who you are. It's like, oh yeah, that's who I am.
Right.
It shows up
I'm
for
a
all.
genius.
Yeah.
Right.
Shows up for
Exactly.
all. I don't care how polished and perfect they look. Everybody has that little voice inside your head that's talking to you, going, oh my God, if they only knew I'm an imposter. Oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and now they've made a huge thing about it, calling it a syndrome. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's just what we need now is another syndrome. but but
I'll take a
we
pill.
love yeah, we love labels. Yeah, that'll be the next thing. You can take a pill for it. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, no. So, Power, you and I could go on forever. Your Power Your Profits. Tell our audience what's unique about your book. That's the name of your book, Power Your
Yeah.
Profits.
Well, here's how I wrote it. I had an amazing editor. So I wrote it so that you don't have to follow it sequential. If you suck at selling, I want you to go to chapter 6 because I give you my $100,000 sales script. What do I mean by that? It's I close $100,000 clients by using the script. And again, I've been using the script forever. I don't deviate from the script, Jane. I follow the script. I pull it up. I've been using it forever. I pull it up to make sure that I'm staying focused and not getting distracted by because I'm a coach. I want to coach people. I want to help people, but you haven't earned the right to help people until you find out what the challenge is and then what the solution is. If you suck at math, go to chapter 8, Math is Money, Money is Fun, right? And implement that immediately in your business. And so you don't have to read it chapter 1, just go, what am I struggling with, right? And then go to that chapter and then work on that chapter. Every chapter has homework, every chapter has worksheets because it's it that I've used to build 10 businesses and to build two $10 million companies. And so you want to look at these are the areas that you want to focus on. So every chapter gives you a roadmap for that section. This book should take you about a year to go through if you're implementing. You can read it in a weekend, but if you're implementing, implement it slowly so that your business changes over time. The whole purpose is that you build a profitable business. Don't do what
Right.
I did. My first business, my $1 million business, losing $70,000 because I didn't know. The IRS doesn't care that you don't know. The police don't care that you didn't know. I didn't know that. They don't care. Right? So you need to know. And what you don't know is costing you millions. And so I'm saying don't leave money on the table. Run, don't walk, get the book out. Now, because I love my girl Jane, we're giving you a copy of the ebook for free. You can go buy it, but we're giving it to you free. Now, I love to touch and feel books and write in them, but I'm going to give you
Yeah.
the ebook because I want you to get the information now, right? So go in the show notes, click on it so that you don't have to wait. And then you can use
Right.
it as a manual for yourself and for your team to build your next multi-million-dollar company.
Well, I have to say, I love, love, love this book. And thank you so much, Susie, for that offer. Oh my gosh, that is totally unexpected. You would, everyone needs to help themselves with this book. And do not pass over this incredible offer. I have looked at, and the book has exercises, like Susie said, worksheets. It's like almost a textbook, and there is so much information. And she's right; you're going to want to flip to different chapters where you need the help, because really there is so much information in here. This is it's a fabulous book. I think it's probably as an entrepreneur, it's the book that you should have on your table and reference to it because it really is. I said to Susie earlier, I said it's almost like a textbook. It's so packed with information. It's a reference book and one you're going to want to have. So thank you again for that offer. Tell our audience where people can contact you, Susie, and we will have all that information as well.
Yeah, so I'm really easy to find. You're just going to use my name, Susie Carder, and it's CARD as in dollar and dinero, ER. So you can find me on my social media. That's my web address, right? All platforms. It's my name, Susie Carder, and would love to support you, right? We have a bunch of free resources. We've got a YouTube channel. So go check us out, right? To see if I'm the right coach to help you, if we're the right company to support you in growing your business. I always say, Jane, that you're in business for yourself, not by yourself. Find the people who can help you excel what it is that you're doing, and you can go through those learning curves quicker, faster. Because you're going to spend the money. You're going to spend the money by trial and error, trying to figure it out yourself, or you're going to bring in experts to help you mitigate that learning curve. I always tell my students, I'll shave 10 years off your learning curve, right? Just do this, don't do that. I think what I love about the book is I'm just transparent. I'm going to tell you where I failed. I'm going to tell you where I won, right? Because you have to see, it doesn't matter how many zeros you're managing. We're all going to experience the up and down in business. And so again, knowing that you have a tribe, a community that is on your side that can help you weather the storm, because it is a stormy time in business right now. And so don't do it on your own. Find that community. Yeah. I hope it's our community. I would love to serve you. I would love to show you how you can get to profit quicker, faster.
And do you deal with entrepreneurs that are beginning as well, or is it just those that are established?
Yeah, so we have programs for every piece of the entrepreneur, right? So the book, it's $27, right? You can't beat that. If you buy the book, we have a companion course for under $1,000 so that we walk you through every aspect of it. So whatever your budget is, right? My goal is I want to just help you what I had to learn the hard way, right? To figure it out, the bloody knees, the bloody elbows, to go, why didn't somebody not tell me this? What's beautiful in our history right now is education is so at our fingertips, right? It's never been that way, right? From podcasts to shows to online courses, which can be overwhelming, right? To YouTube channels. You've got to find the right person. And I'm going to say, do your due diligence. They have to walk their talk. There's so many charlatans preaching it, but they haven't lived it. You know, you got to find someone that has lived it to shorten your own learning curve. You can smell bull a mile away. Trust your instinct to go, this is the person for me or not the person for me. Do your due diligence, have them share their wins, their successes. And if they're not willing to share their own failures, right? I don't want to teach from my mountaintop. I want to share my mountaintop and show the biggest lessons we've all learned is when you're in the trenches. And how do you get out? How do you get out of that? Because a lot of people stay there. Businesses fail in the first 5 years. Why? Because it's hard, right? And we're not willing to ask for help. In entrepreneurship, you have to be willing to put your ego aside, your Shego aside, and go, there's got to be a better way.
Yes, absolutely. And I find that women are really stepping up to that plate and helping each other. We're really good collaborators for the most part. Absolutely. So this is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for that. What are you most excited about in your life right now, Susie?
Oh, I am in such a great season, right? This has been, this is my 10th business. So it's not, new. I've got a real estate investment company that I work with as well. I've got a membership company that I run as well. And I have space, right? I just moved up to Oregon. And I live right on the river, so I'm right on the water. I'm in nature. There's a zen, if you will, that I've never experienced in my life. I'm a city girl, so I've always been in California, always been in the city, always been in that drive. And to be able to sit back and really enjoy all the hard work that I've done, and to be able to choose the projects that I work on and choose how I want to invest my time. Right. I've done very well in my real estate investments, very well in my business investments, that I get to choose to work or not work. And it's a different energy, right? There's not the grind that's there. And I get to play with people that I love and adore, and they love and adore me. Right. It's a really amazing space to be in.
Wonderful. It feels like it. I can feel it. So any last words you would like to share with our audience?
I want you to remember that wealth is your birthright. It's not for some of us. It's for all of us. And we get to pull our seat up at the table. You don't get invited. You sit at the table and decide to do, what are the things I need to do to build my wealth, not just build a business, right? Wealth is freedom. Wealth allows me the luxury of supporting my children in a way that my parents couldn't do for me. Wealth gives me choices. Wealth allows me to spend time inside of my community and help other women entrepreneurs. Wealth gives me opportunity to leverage the community that I live in, right? So know that it's a decision we make. It's not handed to you. It's not given to you. We decide as entrepreneurs. And so I invite you to pull a seat up to the table. Jane and I will be waiting arm in arm to embrace you, to love you, to support you so that you can have the destiny you've always dreamed of.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, I have one last question for you, seeing as we're here on the Epic Vision Zone. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
I would say wealth is your birthright. That's my epic title.
Makes total sense. Just love it. Absolutely. I'm buying that book for sure.
Yes.
I love it. Pull a seat up at the table and join the feast for sure.
Yes. It's not crowded up here. I want to say that. Come join us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. So thank you again, Susie, for joining us here today. I have learned so much and I am so grateful for your time and your knowledge. And be sure to check out Susie on her website. Once again, Susie Carder, CARDER.com. And all of that information will also be available on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages. And be sure to follow me on Instagram and at Jane Applegath. And don't forget to reach out on my website at janeapplegath.com, where you can grab your free copy and download of the Keys to Your Dreams. Looking forward to hearing from you. And this has been the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.